And now, on to La Liga. Same idea here. We're going to just sort of go through, recap the summer, and then look at our big storylines and the things I'm most curious about heading into this season. Unsurprisingly, your summer dominated by Real Madrid and Barcelona. Real Madrid get Antonio Rudiger from Chelsea and sign Aurelien Tchouameni. Very, very promising midfielder. Everybody in the world was going after him. He chose Real Madrid. So now you've got incredible young talent in that midfield. Luka Jovic, Isco, Marcelo, Gareth Bale are your big names to leave. None of them playing important roles in that run to the Champions League and, returning to the summit of La Liga. But Marcelo still, captain. Gareth Bale has won countless trophies. Isco's been there for all of that as well. Luka Jovic was supposed to be a big part of this team moving forward, and it just never really happened. So again, this turnover and very much kind of the beginning of the next era of Real Madrid with some of these staples that have been there for a decade plus leaving. And then, of course, Barcelona, Rafinha, Robert Lewandowski, Frank Kessié, Andreas Christensen. It seems like Jules Koundé is also imminent. All kinds of new faces coming in. You got 3 guys going to the Premier League. Felipe Coutinho, they basically just asked Aston Villa to give them some money for him so they don't have to pay his wages. So that move got made permanent. Clement Lenglet going to Spurs on loan, and Adama Traore's loan is up. Wanted to at least mention that just because I'm so fascinated with him as a player. So they're all headed back to England, or in Coutinho's case, staying in England. And also, Dani Alves has departed. Not particularly shocking, but again, Barcelona legend, wanted to mention it. Outside of Barcelona, and really your only 2 notable teams I want that from a transaction standpoint, big time moves, Sevilla and Atleti. Sevilla lose Diego Carlos, one of the better defenders in the league. They replace him with Marcao from Galatasaray, so kind of a like-for-like situation there at center back. We'll see what kind of impact that has. Carlos has just been rock solid for Sevilla. And then Atletico, interesting situation. They haven't done much in terms of big moves, but there's still been a lot of turnover. They did sign Axel Witsel from Borussia Dortmund. We'll see what kind of role he plays. Saul and Alvaro Morata are back from loans. And Semi Versalco, Hector Herrera, Luis Suarez have departed. So again, there are big names moving in and out as kind of the previous versions of these clubs slowly fade into the distance, and those players who we associate with, Versalco, Saul, in the case of Atletico Madrid, we associate with these clubs are slowly moving away as sort of the next iteration of La Liga moves forward. So that is your summer recap. Storyline number 1, I mean, there's nothing close. It's a no-brainer. It's just simply Barcelona. Can they register all of those players I just listed? With said players, assuming they are eligible to play, is this team actually a threat to Real Madrid? And I haven't really talked about that all that much on here. But what they are doing is, in the simplest terms, mortgaging their future, investing their future on this group of players and hoping that if they can just stabilize themselves financially now for the short term, put a Band-Aid on it, this group is going to be good enough to win La Liga, to contend for the Champions League, and to bring in the kind of money needed to actually fix the problem. What happens if this team is not significantly better? you are in the exact same spot financially, and you have less money coming in because they're generating these funds by doing things like selling part of their future La Liga TV revenue. So you have less money coming in if you can't generate more with this group of players. So there's that on top of just, are we going to have a really interesting title race in La Liga between these two teams? And then also, what does Robert Lewandowski look like outside the Bundesliga at this point in his career? I have all the confidence in the world it's going to be a smooth transition, but it's possible things don't go perfectly. Different system, young players. His exit at Bayern Munich was not particularly smooth. There was definitely tension. Does that carry over to Barcelona if things aren't going well and he's not getting what he wants? And then on a broader scale, just are they going to continue to evolve and improve and build? I'm a big believer in what Xavi is doing. They were much better last season. You saw hope. Can they take that next step? Become a factor in the Champions League, even if they're not going to win it. Do more than be a good team in the Europa League kind of thing. And are they serious contenders? Because there's a difference between finishing second and contending, right? They were nowhere close to Real Madrid last year. But that group of players they brought in should close that gap significantly. So there are so many different angles to this, but the storyline for me is very simply, what does this Barcelona team look like, and what does that mean moving forward for their future, for the future of La Liga, and for this season? Number 2, like I said, I'm going to go back to this a lot because I think it's a fascinating discussion, but taking a little bit of a different angle here. Can anybody crack this top 4 and break in? Because we've had the same 4 teams the last 3 seasons. It's been very clear who the best 4 teams. Now, it's been different orders. But Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atleti, Sevilla. Clear-cut top 4 teams in the league. It's been those 4 teams the past 3 seasons, like I said. So you start looking at, okay, who are your contenders? If I tell you one of those teams isn't going to make the top 4, who does? Real Betis finished 5th last season, ready to go again, bringing back pretty much the same squad. 6th place Real Sociedad, again, no major departures, brought in a couple of reinforcements in attack. We saw what Villarreal can do. They finished 7th. And now don't have to deal from a, health and safety and fitness standpoint, a deep Champions League run. Now they're still playing in Europe, but you would hope you could do some more rotation to get through, the group stage of the Europa Conference League. Are they better in La Liga this season? Can they go toe-to-toe with a Sevilla? And then the last team I'll throw out there, not that I actually expect them to be in this conversation, but with everything going on, Valencia is going to be interesting, if nothing else, with Gennaro Gattuso involved. This is just asking for headlines and drama. They are a team to keep an eye on no matter how this all goes, just because something interesting is going to be happening. I'm fairly confident in that. So it's not out of the question they make a run at this thing. The gap is fairly small between all of these teams. And you're not looking at any of them wondering. I mean, Valencia to a certain extent, because they have some work to do to get into this conversation. But the other 3, Real Betis, Real Sociedad, Villarreal, they are very much in a position to kind of build on last season. How much higher can they go? Can they be more consistent in the league? And is their ceiling high enough that they can eclipse a Sevilla or an Atletico Madrid, or if something goes terribly wrong, a Barcelona or something like that? So that is what I'm looking for there. And then number 3, just kind of what does this league do for an encore? Because I would argue none of these teams were real factors at the beginning of last season. I certainly, from a Champions League contender, best team in the world perspective, we're not taking any of them seriously. Real Madrid proved they still belong at that level and need to be taken seriously. Villarreal made the semifinals of the Champions League, and there were 6 teams better than them in La Liga. Now, again, I am a firm believer in there's a price you pay domestically for going deep into a European tournament, or being a team with a squad not built to play those extra European games. Burnley had that happen to them when they tried. But right, we're having a very different conversation. All the talent Barcelona brought in, what Villarreal did, knocking out Bayern and Juventus, what Real Madrid proved, because that team more or less is coming back. And you can always count on your Sevillas and your Atletis to perform well in Europe. They never really disappoint you. And Atleti in particular, they nearly knocked out Manchester City. Now, they also, didn't have a shot for a very long time in that 2-leg fixture. They didn't create anything. But they had their chances and they kept it within a goal. So if things go right, you're talking about Real Madrid contending again. Maybe Barcelona becomes a factor and at least makes the quarterfinals or something. You're never going to bet against Atletico in knockout tournaments as long as Diego Simeone's there. You like Villarreal's chances to win the Conference League, or at least make a deep run. So all of a sudden, we're having a very different conversation about this league as a whole, based on last season. So can you back it up? Can Real Madrid prove that was not a flash in the pan? Can they dominate this league again the way they should? And if everything clicks for Barcelona and they actually get all these players in, okay, maybe they shouldn't dominate it. But there's just, that gap is too large for me to think Barcelona can actually win this thing. Unless it all goes swimmingly and Lewandowski is the best player in the league, which is not out of the question. But I need to see something from Barcelona before I believe they can do that. So does Real Madrid prove they're a top 3 team in the world? Does Villarreal show up and perform well, or was that just a weird one-off thing and they finish, 7th again, do fine in the Conference League, and we're not really talking about them? Does somebody make a run at Sevilla for 4th? Does Sevilla pull off a knockoff, an upset somewhere in Europe? So much went right last season, and there's reason to believe it gets even better this year. But the recent past before this season suggested this league was not in a great spot. They did it last season, if you do it again, to me there is no argument to still say it's a down time in La Liga. If La Liga does this again and performs well, they are officially back right up there with any league not named the Premier League. Which, maybe they still were number 2. But that's only because they've always been number 2. And so you maybe give it to them sort of benefit of the doubt. But there's no denying those were bad years for the La Liga. This is a league that is supposed to be producing top 3 teams in the world, at least one every single season, and it just wasn't there. So now you have the depth behind your big traditional powers. Barcelona is on the rise. Real Madrid is great. Atleti's a little bit down, but you're never going to count them out. Last year was brilliant. Can you do it again and validate all of that and prove it wasn't a flash in the pan?